Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a new video. In today's video, I wanted to show you guys how you can make your own perfect god rolled class mods as well as enhancements in Borderlands 4. Now, we don't quite have a gibbed style Borderlands 4 save editor, since the game saves are encrypted and items are serialized. So the, game is a lot harder to decode and reconstruct those items as we see fit, but modders have been hard at work since the game's release, and so far I think this is probably the thing that I personally wanted, the most. Of course, we're still missing shields and weapons, but class mods as well as enhancements I think are very hard to get perfect god rolls out of, so this is definitely a godsend. So I wanted to show you guys how you can make your own. Now, I think this goes a little bit without saying, but this is only for PC. If you're playing this game on console, there's really no way that I know of to modify your save file or anything like that, but since the game has cross-save, if you have a friend that has the game on PC, maybe, if he's up to it, he can do this for you and get you your perfect god roll class mod and just drop it for you. But anyway, there are a couple of steps. I'm going to do this as a very beginner-friendly guide, so I'm going to guide you step by step everything that you need to do in order to be able to do this. Now, as with anything that requires modifying your save file, the first thing you need to do is make a backup of your saves. So in case you don't know where your saves are, you should just be able to go into your Documents folder, scroll down to your My Games folder, and there's going to be Borderlands 4, saved, save games, there's going to be a big ass number, profiles, client, and this is where all of your save files are going to be. So I recommend copying these, making a folder as I have made here, BL4 backups, and just copy them here so you can modify them or, restore them in case anything goes wrong. The second thing that I would recommend that you do is you actually go in-game, and on the save file that you want to edit your characters of, I would recommend making a duplicate copy of that save file. So this is the duplicate copy file, and this is the one, my original save file, my unmodded save file. Once you have a copied save file, and this is again just a recommendation, I recommend changing the name so that you can tell exactly which one is the original one, as you'll see what I mean by that later. Now, once you've made a copy, a backup of your folders and copied your save file, now you're ready to get down to the meat of it. So the first thing that you're going to need is this mod right here. I'm going to leave a link to the Nexus mod page, but this is basically a tool that decrypts your save file. All the save files are encrypted. Now, once you download this, I can go ahead and close this. The instructions are on the mod page. But once you download this, you're gonna get this program right here that says BL4 crypt GUI whatever. All you need to do to be able to run this is rename this file. You're gonna get rid of everything after the GUI and just type .exe. So once you do that, now it becomes an executable file that you can run. You can click on more info and then run anyway. This is a save program. Now once you open it, it's going to ask you for your user ID. Or, if you're on Epic, I'm not quite sure how you get your Epic 32 hex. You're going to have to Google that, I'm not going to lie, because I don't even have Epic installed on my computer. But I feel like most people play on Steam. If you're on Steam, it's very easy. Open up your Steam and then click on your user right here, view your profile, and then you see this link up here. This is the number you're going to need. This is also the number that, if you notice, is also in your save folder. So if you go to your save games, this big ass number is the same one as this one up here. So all you have to do is copy that, put it right here, and then save. So once you've done that, it's saved. You don't have to do this again. You just have to do this once. And then you click on Convert. So you click on Add File, And here you're going to put the save file that you want to work on. So I'm going to choose again this one because I know this is the correct one. If you add a save file, and you click on convert, it is going to create a .yaml file. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I'm just going to call it YAML file, and it's going to put it in the exact same folder that you took the save file from. Now this also works the other way around, but we'll get into that later. Now that you have this file, you're also forgot about that. You're also going to need Notepad++. Flashbang warning. You're going to need this program. So I'm going to leave a link again to this in the description as well. But just download the latest one. And once you download it, you're going to be able to open YAML files using this program. Now we can get into creating the class mods and the weapon enhancement. So first, let's start with the class mods. This was uploaded by a guy called MattMab. I'm going to leave again a link in the description to this Nexus page so you guys can download this. But this is going to download a Chrome file. And once you download it, you just double click it and it's going to open a window in your browser that looks like this. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. There's not a ton of stuff that you need to, know in particular. You select your class, you select the rarity. So let's just say I'm going to make a Vex class mod. This is the type of class mod. So I'm going to make a Teen Witch, which is the one that I use the most. And now this has a list of all of Vex skills. So you can go here and add the points that you want. Now, me personally, guys, I'm only interested in legal items. I'm not really interested in making a class mod that has every single skill in the game. I feel like that shit's wacky, but if you're into it, all the power to you, but I don't know, if that's going to brick the item or whatever. I'm only interested in getting legitimate items. Now, how do you know if you're making a legitimate item? That is where our good friend Loot Lemon comes in. So this is a Borderlands database. It has information for all of the games. I've mentioned this in my Borderlands 3 save editor video. Now, it's not completely filled out with the information, but it does have quite a lot of information. So you can use this as a reference guide to see what might be a legitimate item or not. Now, again, it's not 100% deciphered, but it has good enough stuff, right? So in this case, I'm going to look for Vex's class mod, the Teen Witch class mod. And here you can see what skills and how many points in each skill can go. Now, this is a little controversial. For example, Grave Thirst. I've never seen it above 3 personally, and I have farmed hundreds of these things. But it says here that it can go up to 10 points, and it would make sense because it's a 5-point skill. But there were certain restrictions to this in Borderlands 3. So again, I don't know if this is truly legitimate or not. But let's just say that my God roll version of this class mod is 5 Grave Thirst and 2 Corporeal. Because you can have up to 7 points. So 5 plus 2 is 7. We're just gonna Control F to look for Grave Thirst. There it is. And just click here on the right side of the drop-down menu how many points of that skill you want. The second skill is called Corporeal, so I'm just going to look for it, and again, use the drop-down here to put 2 points of it into the class mod. You scroll all the way to the bottom here, and this is where you have your stats. Now, Teen Witch always comes with 10% lifesteal. So if you want this item to be legitimate, you need to know that the life steal is a necessary stat. So whenever you're making a class mod, look for what is the stat that always comes on the class mod. And this stat is always at the bottom. You'll see there, 10% lifesteal. Every single witch you've ever seen has this 10% lifesteal stat at the bottom. So if you're looking for, I don't know, a scientist class mod, or a dancer for Rafa, it always comes with 25% action skill cooldown rate. Anyway, so we have the lifesteal. Click on it on the left side, and then click this arrow to put it onto the item. And then now, whatever stat you want. I think the best one for me would be kinetic damage, for like a basic ass build with the hot slugger. So now that I've selected the 2 stats that I want on the class mod, the legendary class mod, since purples have 3, and I've selected the points from the skills that I want, I can go ahead and click on Get Final Serial. That's going to give you this long-ass string of numbers. Now, there might be other ways to put this item into your inventory, but by far the easiest way that I have found to do this is by editing your save file in the YAML format and just pasting this into your lost loot. So, here's what we're going to do. Since I have that decrypted YAML file, I'm going to double click it to open it in Note++, and I can tell I'm on the correct character because I named this character up here. You can see Test Mule. This is my test character for save editing stuff. I'm going to scroll all the way down to about I think it's the 300 line, and that's when you get into the lost loot. So all these items, the game has registered them in your lost loot, but you'll notice not all of them are actually on the machine. Your machine only has like about 14 or so slots, right? You're going to want to look for one that says in machine true. And again, guys, there might be a more optimal way of doing this, but this is the most foolproof way that I have found to do this. And you can basically do about 14 items at a time. Now, me personally, I don't like doing more than 1 or 2 items at a time, but I'm just going to find one that says true, which would be this one. And I'm going to replace that serial number with the one that we just made here. So you can either copy it manually or click on copy serial. Make sure that you replace within the apostrophes. So all the serials start with the little @ sign. So I'm going to paste this one in there. It says it's true. And then you're going to click on save or file and then click on save. Now that we've edited that file, I can go ahead and go back to the Decrypter program, and I'm going to add that YAML file back. So click on over here, it might filter it to only save files. Just click on YAML, or you can click on all. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to convert it, and you can see it'll tell me where it saved it. So it saves it in the exact same folder. And you can see right there, it's 145. 145, it basically replaced the original one. So now, this save file is ready to be loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and open the game, and we should see a Teen Witch class mod in my lost loot that has +5 Grave Thirst, +2 Corporeal, 10% Lifesteal, and 40% Kinetic. So here is my test character. I'm going to go ahead and load into it. And right here, let's see. So look for the icon with her head. And there it is. Sadistic Teen Witch, +2 Corporeal, +5 Grave Thirst, 10% Lifesteal, 40% Kinetic Damage. But yeah, there you go. That is how you make the class mod. You do the exact same thing for the weapon enhancements. I don't have to close my game. I'm just gonna close it just for performance sake. But I'm going to leave a link once again, for this Nexus page mod, and this is made again by Matt Mab. Download this, and it is going to be the exact same process. You download the thingy, and it's going to be a Chrome file or a browser file. And when you double click it, this one, the enhancement editor, it's going to pull open a window like this. Now, again, I am only interested in legitimate items. If you wanted to make some wacky shit, feel free to, but don't ask me anything about that because I only care about items that can actually drop in the game. Now, once again, we're going to use Loot Lemon as a reference. So going back to the Vex kinetic damage build, we can actually look at enhancements here. Now, for that build, the best thing for me is going to be a Jacob's enhancement. Gonna sort this by manufacturer, and you can see there are actually quite a couple of different Jacob enhancements. Now, these enhancements are actually named. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the enhancements are not completely random. For example, a blind box legendary enhancement is always going to have the 40% chance to ricochet non-crits and the +1 ricochet. Now, this is basically best in slot for a kinetic build for mobbing, because this is going to help you kill multiple enemies in a single shot, even when you don't get a headshot. Which, if you're running around, you know, with all the movement, it's kind of hard to hit some enemies. But this thing basically one-shots everything. The Hot Slugger basically one-shots anything anyway. So this is going to help you kill a bunch of enemies at the same time. Anyway, so let's recreate a blind box, a perfect blind box. If you wanted a different one, like, for example, a Lady Killer, which is, I would honestly only use this for bossing. This has a, you know, if you're using something like a Jacob's Cakeballer, then this would be the best in slot for something like that. Because you have a 40% chance to ricochet a non-crit, and then a 20% chance to crit. And since you ricochet on crits anyway, you basically gave yourself a 60% chance for a ricochet to start on a Cakeballer. So a Lady Killer would be best in slot. If you want something like that, then you go ahead and do that. So, we go back here to the enhancement editor. We're going to click on the manufacturer, select Jacob's. We're going to make a legendary. Now again, you can make epics. It is a little bit different, but you know, can do them here as well. But we're going to focus on the legendaries right now. So, a legendary that has Leaper and Bounce Pass. So, this is going to show you the manufacturer perks for your manufacturer. If I chose COV here, you can see that it changes. The ones that are on the right are the ones that are not for your manufacturer. So, I'm just going to stick to the ones that are for my manufacturer. So, we want Leaper and Bounce Pass. Now, once you've ticked them, you don't have to mess with anything over here. All you have to do is come down here and look for these stats. So these first couple stats here at the top, these are actually firmware. You can add firmware if you wanted to. I'm not really going to bother. I'm just going to look for these stats that I want. Now, if you know something about the damage formula in Borderlands, you'll know that gun damage on enhancements for some reason is multiplied separately. So it's actually the best in slot stat that you can get, the highest bang for your buck. So we want gun damage. You can just search over here, gun damage. There we go. Gun damage, E. I don't know why there's two different ones, I'm not gonna lie. But we're just going to click these little arrows here to add it. And then obviously, like I said, this is mainly a Hot Slugger build, so I'm going to look for shotgun damage. So I'm going to add that in. Boom. Now that I've added my two stats, I've selected my two perks here on the top, or on the left. We're going to copy this serial. And we are once again going to go into the YAML file. And we're going to find another slot that says true, like here at the bottom. And we're just going to replace this one with the serial. Hit file, hit save, and then we have to convert this into this save file again. So, go to the decryptor, convert, add file. We're going to add the YAML file, convert, and it's going to automatically replace the one that we have in that folder. And we can verify that here, right there. It says edited at 1:53. It is 1:53 a.m. right now. And I'm just going to close everything out here because I'm pretty confident that we're done. And go into my lost loot. And again, guys, I'm really sorry if there is a more optimal, less annoying way to put these items directly into your inventory, but every single time I try to put something directly into my inventory or my equipped, the item just gets completely deleted. So this has been the most reliable way that I have found to get the items. So let's see here, and there it is. So we have a legendary blind box with bounce pass and leaper with shotgun damage and gun damage. So there you go, perfectly rolled enhancement. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, or feel free to join my Discord. The link is in the description of every video. This video's description is going to have a ton of links. I'm going to have the decryptor, the enhancement editor, the class mod editor, as well as Notepad+, and my Discord. So any resources that you guys need, you can feel free to use that. Anyway, yeah, once you have your perfectly made items, where is it? There it is. And the class mod, you can just go ahead and pick them up and just toss them in your bank. And then you can go ahead and enjoy them on whatever character you want to use them on. And that is the safest, most foolproof way. I recommend just making a mule character that you can safely edit items on. And, you know, go ahead. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.